It was a guy who was my partner, good partner, man. His brother. I did a favor for him based on his brother. You know what I'm saying? And that was a downfall because he had a wire. I wasn't thinking that he had a wire on. You see what I'm saying? A wire. That's like the having a wire is like coming home and seeing your wife in bed and getting locked up. That's the worst. The worst. You see what I'm saying? The wire is like devastating. You know what I'm saying? It's like the wire is 100 times on 100. It's unbeatable.
I was kind of mad at him because he was doing okay. He didn't need to do what he was doing. And for whatever reason he was doing it, maybe because it was easy or it was just there. But it wasn't no reason. He was well taken care of. He was working. He was training. And he was doing great. So when I heard about it, I was shocked. Like, he did what? They just got who? So like, man, they just got grabbed Johnny.
I had a lot of anxiety. Actually, I was in and out of the courtroom with emotions to keep from being. I was trying to be supportive to my brother, but I was sobbing out loud. So I removed myself from the courtroom several times that day. I remember that, and I just was praying that we get a verdict that would be reasonable and fair. That I wouldn't be too old to see my brother when he did get out. It was a lot of anxiety that day. It was really scary.
How did I get here? Well, in order to find that out, we got to go back to the beginning.
So you adapt to, what you're used to. You know what I'm saying? It's excellent. People got that low end, they got it misconstrued about really what really happened there. That's why some of your best athletes came from there. You know what I'm saying? For real. Like that low end was, our soft was different, but the low end was, man, the struggle was real. It was the struggle as a whole. So when you made it, the whole low end felt like they made it. The whole hood felt like they made it. You know what I'm saying?
It's so much fun. I mean, I learned so much from living on that end. And if you look at that area now, it's called The Gap. It's really beautiful. I mean, it was beautiful back then. And I mean, crime was decent. It was nothing different than what it is today. I love that area. Beautiful area. We learned a lot. The neighborhood raised us.
Growing up on the low end, what's the low end? It was a place that had structure. Place that the older guys didn't play.
It was a great sense of community. Everybody knew each other. Even though everybody probably was poor or whatever, but everybody knew each other. Even though it was probably bad, the area was bad, but my mom knew his mom, and man, we had discipline back then, you know what I'm saying, for real. Back then, my mother, Frank, could whoop me based on my mother gave permission to, you see what I'm saying? So the community thing was excellent.
Growing up on 39th Street, it was pleasant. We were all like family. All the row houses, like we all like family. Everybody was like family.
We had a fire department that was right on the corner on 35th, 34th and Giles. And even the firemen, I mean, I can remember them to this day. I mean, would just raise us. They would give us sandwiches. They led us in the right direction, and I appreciate that neighborhood. I wish more neighborhoods today was doing that, but we definitely got raised by the neighborhood. When your mother was my mother too, when my mother wasn't around. Your dad was my dad too, when my dad wasn't around. So I appreciate that. So I think that helped us, like our dad not being around, like in the physical. We had other dads in the neighborhood to raise us. Johnny coaches became his dads, his surrogate fathers. So we appreciate that.
It was crazy. You see a person in the hood, they shoot, everybody hit the ground. 10 minutes later, okay, look around. They go back to the normal activity and tell me what that is. That's a minimum.
I didn't, the city is the city. know, sometimes you can get caught up. It don't take much. A second can change your life like that in Chicago.
People say crime is really bad now. All right, we got 600-700 people get killed every year, but it was better. It was worse. 80s when the game was really at it. We had 1,500-1,600 a year. But they, you know what I'm saying? It was just different because they was targeting the game. It was game on game. Now with the kids getting killed, it makes it worse. But it was really, as far as the body count was worse then. You know what I'm saying? But you can't, a person in his environment, take him out of the environment, man, you know, it's you know what I'm saying, for real.
Just our last name, our background. We are F-O-R-T is our last name. So we were born into a certain kind of, I don't know the word, family environment where it kind of you just carried on from there. You didn't run away from who you were. This is who we were. We grew up, we had mom and dad. Our mom is a Carter and our dad was a Ford. So certain things was bound to happen just because we grew up in that environment. I don't think that's a bad thing. It's just like anybody, you take on traits from your mama's side, just like you take on traits from your dad's side. So we dealt a lot with that. I think he dealt more with it than say myself, because it was popular for him.
But I knew for sure he was a Ford. Not he would say his name was Ford, not because he was afraid. He didn't want to alarm nobody. Johnny didn't want no trouble when he didn't want to alarm nobody. We knew his day once he got to like 8th grade, and we knew everything that was going on. You know what I'm saying? And I'm telling you, this kid never wanted for anything. Absolutely nothing. His mother was one of the hardest workers I ever seen. He didn't want for nothing. Clean house, nice clothes, polo.
Boy, it's the best thing. How can you feel something that you was born into? You only can feel something if you take away from that place. You see what I'm saying?
Of course, the mama's boy.
One of the mom's boy, you know. Her sister and brother. Okay. Yeah, but you know, I'm a mom's boy for real, you know.
Yeah, we both had a decent relationship with our parents. I mean, we wish he could have been around more because my dad was a hustler too. So he was bouncing around just like us. I guess my brother kind of took on them traits because he hustling in what he does. You know, in the sports, he always hustled to do better and strive to do good. I mean, he got a degree, went to college, so that was a good thing too. So he had a certain hustle. We got that hustle from my dad.
What you doing? Like you take me from low end and put me in the suburb? Man, what you doing? Man, take me back. That's what I'm used to.
My mother's back then was really an advocate skater. I can't skate, but that was the thing that we did as a family. We would go skating. So Johnny was a basketball player. He wasn't that great on the skates too. Now he'll probably tell you today that he was great on the skates, but Johnny wasn't. So I mean, I just remember us going out on a Friday night, out skating and just having family fun and falling and having a good time and not hurting each other. And always just hanging out with him every day. I mean, he didn't know that I appreciated my mom making me hang out with him. Well, grandma's house, well, it was a weekend thing. I was more a grandma's kid, but Johnny would be right there. My mom was a hustler herself, so she was always working, and we wasn't old enough to really be left alone at home. So grandma's house was the weekend. And that's where the fun was, because it was the hood. It was the low end. You know, it was where we see our dad more, because that's where they grew up, in that area. So it was always fun going to grandma's house. We could break the rules at grandma's house.
Earlier, I was just watching people. I couldn't play a long time ago. When I first seen people playing ball, like, I didn't understand the game. You know what I'm saying? Just the people. It was like I never knew. You pass the outside courts and it's 100 people under the basket. I'm like, what's so important about it? You know, but I have a clue.
And back then, in the early, like say the early to late 70s, that was the basketball ground down there from 35th to 39th Street. You probably had more talent in the city of Chicago than any place, because that's when Phillips was running back-to-back city championships. So we would see players come from all over the city, would converge right there in our neighborhood, and we'd be just right there waiting on them. So
Growing up on the low end, what's the low end? And beautiful basketball. Basketball was plentiful.
70 in Calumet, like Indiana, it's called I forgot the name of it. I think it was like Mayo, right across the street. It's right across the street, diagonal from Phillips High School. Everybody, you had to be able to play at that part. You see what I'm saying? You had to be able to play. You know, if you lose a game, it's a wrap.
You played. It was groups of guys. You played with your age bracket till you was good enough, not old enough, but good enough to play with the older guys.
This area was like the mecca of basketball back then, because everybody in that area went to a school called Mayo from 6th grade. Then you went to Douglas. Everybody went to Douglas, went to Phillips. It was a machine.
Any kid that came from off that low end went to play with anybody's team, he was making that team. Anything come from the low end, it's like, oh, he from the low end, I already know he made up. You feel me?
I mean, that was ground zero for us. You know, going to Phillips High School, going to Douglas, growing up on 39th Street.
Tell me about growing up on 39th Street.
I mean, I grew up in Stateway Guard. Then I moved to Robert Taylor Homes, and it's interesting because the floor I actually lived on with my grandparents, Billy Harris, grew up on that floor too. So he was living like right down the hall, and this is like when he was, you know, playing at Northern and was getting ready to get drafted. So he was like all of our idol growing up. Him and Ronnie Lester. Ronnie Lester down in Stateway Guards, Billy Harris in Robert Taylor's.
And I grew up in a building with a guy named Tredero Ford was actually the starting point guard with Ronnie Lester. And then across the street, you had a guy named Ronald Wagner that was the starting guard at King with Willie Scott. And then you had Michael Clark Duncan, grew up in our neighborhood, Arnie Duncan, whole 9 yards. So we had ball.
Met on the basketball court. I think it goes back to, he probably was 10 years old, I was 11 years old. And we found ourselves on the court competing against each other. And I was always a grade ahead of him, so we developed a good relationship. I think in some regards, I was, since I was a year ahead of him, I was kind of a mentor. He kind of looked up to me.
Bernard Jackson, really, I ain't gonna lie to you. And he's just like a year or two older than me, but I wanted to be Bernard Jackson.
What was it about his game?
He was smooth, and he wasn't really quick. He just knew how to do it.
Recognized early on, you know, during those early years of our teenage years, that it was something special about his game, especially being being younger than me.
And once it started, oh my God.
Smooth. Johnny was smooth. He was an exceptional talent. What Johnny had was skill. He had intelligence. He was competitive, and he had. When I say skill, he had something that was unique for a person who was 13 years old.
Playing for Frazier, and then you go in the Phillips and playing for Mr. Brown. Oh my God, we was in 4th grade, and they had McClendon. You know, McClendon's the Hall of Fame. They had McClendon come to us and gave us a session on defense that was incredible. We was 4th, 5th grade about stick your man. You know what I'm saying? The second phase of your man and the ball. The third phase of your man and the ball in the whole situation. I was taught that in 4th grade. So my mental game was way advanced.
I had a AAU team. I supervised an AAU team, which was called Mayor Hatcher's Youth Foundation. We took players from our school in our area, and we played in the national, state and national AAU tournaments. And what happened was, well, we had won our state title, and we were then preparing for the nationals, and we went around and played, you know, and me being from the west side, I had played at the boys club and I knew the person in charge. So we scheduled a game. But there was this guy who was unique. He could have been a forward or power forward, but he was a point. And he could handle, and he could run, and he had a feeling and an athleticism and an intelligence. His first focus in the game was to make other people better.
Stood out to me is his game, even at an early age, it was kind of a little bit more advanced than the rest of us. He was able to do things with the ball, along the baseline, kind of herky-jerky moves that, you wasn't seeing a lot of players do back then. Most of us we were pretty disciplined in our approach because our coach at the time, I remember Chuck Frazier, he instilled that fundamental game. But Johnny always had an edge to himself. He could do things a little bit differently than the rest of us.
And it was so crazy. Even as I got bigger and better, I never beat him in the one-on-one. And I'm All-American now, and you know what I'm saying? Like at Douglas, when you're in 8th grade, the freshmen and sophomore come back to play. The 8th graders. You know what I'm saying? That's when he knows. That's how Frazier get to seeing what he got as far as at the next level, using the next level. So BJ and Carl Golson come back. I'm in 8th grade. I graduated at 13. I'm 13 years old, so I'm 13 years old. I gave him 50. You see what I'm saying? Frazier, like, ain't nobody ever gave the older player 50. BJ didn't do it. Carl didn't do it. They gave him 20 or something. I give them people 50. Oh my God, it was a wrap.
In fact, he was in 6th grade. I was in 7th grade. And he was playing on the 7th grade team. So I thought that was pretty phenomenal.
He had that magic vibe. He was a great playmaker. We had a vernacular in that time, which was he could see. He could see things around him. He was focused. He had vision. And so we chose to add him to our team. And we had an exceptional team. And it should be noted that Johnny and his teammates were all middle school students playing high school students.
But in 7th grade, we played Resurrection, and we lost to him. You know what I'm saying? And it did something to me in my whole psyche, because I just thought we were just like this. You know what I'm saying? Me playing Resurrection taught me everything, and that was my growth period.
You said Durrell was a better player than you.
Petway?
Petway.
Ain't no question.
Until you took your game to the next level.
Yeah, something happened that summer from 7th grade to 8th grade, which was, you gotta say, 4 months period of the summer. It was a wrap. I got bigger, taller, and I already had the game, but I got a little taller, because we always like 5'9", 5'8". If you see a picture I show you in 7th grade, it's me, Petway, Walter Bridgman. We all the same height. You know what I'm saying? 5'8", 5'9". And something happened between that 7th grade and 8th.
Oh, it was natural. When you came through that pipeline, you had the Darius Clemenses, you had the Sherrod Arnolds, you had the Tyrone Bradleys, you had all these folks that were doing amazing things. Again, in '77, Phillips had won the city championship. In '75, they had just won state championship. And our coach, Chuck Frazier, was the coach of the Frostall team at Phillips. So we would go up there. I remember going up the old fire escape there at Phillips, and we would just sit there and watch them practice.
Yeah, the Carl Golston, the Bernard Jackson, Tyrone Bradley, you know what I'm saying, Darius Clemens, all these guys came from Douglas, which is on 32nd and Calumet back then, and went to Phillips. It was like, when I first went to the game and seen them play, I remember walking up the fire escape, which the games I already started walking, you can feel it. You can feel it, the enthusiasm walking to the fire station. You open that side door that's in that gym. Oh my God!
It's like a firm. It's like a sorority. It's like you go to Douglas. See, Bernard went straight to Douglas. Okay, I went from Mill to Crispus Attucks. Mill went to 6. I had to finish my 7th and 8th there. Now, the kid in our age group was God, and that was Carl Golston. Okay?
The point guard.
Yes. He was like 7, 8, playing with 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds. It was like blowing my mind.
Biggest disappointment in my life. I took it personally. I mean, I think I might have stopped speaking to him for a long time, because he broke the he broke the mold. You know, the top 2 or 3 players from Douglas automatically go to Phillips, and we don't even question it. We don't even think about it. It wasn't until, you know, he surprisingly came out of nowhere, and a lot of it had to do with his parental upbringing. His mother wanted him to be in a better environment.
My mom was, it was educational reasons. She felt Phillips' education wasn't up to par. I didn't believe that, but, Mom, 13.
And it was like a breeding ground that if you knew you was at Douglas and you was a star player, the top 3 players were always going to end up at Phillips, or maybe Dunbar, depending on if you didn't think you could measure up to what the expectations was at Phillips, you ended up at Dunbar. And then every now and then you have a Ronnie Lester come along that decided he wanted to go to Dunbar Vocational School. But you just expected that. You didn't think about anything else. You didn't think about going anywhere else, because you know you was going to be able to compete for a city championship. You know you was going to be nationally ranked in the city and the state. And you know you was going to have a great opportunity to land at some college or university.
So I go to Corliss, but and it was a thing why I couldn't get in school for about like a month, because they held my transcript at Phillips. You know what I'm saying? My transfer was my transfer went to Phillips in the summertime. So you graduate at 8th grade, freight job we got to get. You going? You know what I'm saying? You know where you're going.
On the Corliss, we were heartbreaking. The coach was heartbreaking. In fact, he sent me over there to try to talk to Johnny. I said, I'm not going to talk to him. He's my best friend. How you gonna let me down like this? And even to this day, I'll go on record and say, if he just followed the trail, he cost me a city championship. Johnny, you cost me a city championship, and probably a state championship. And probably the reason why I didn't make it to the NBA.
We met in high school. We met as freshmen in high school. We were, it was at a football game.
Well, my partner of mine came with me, Larry Bush. He was 6'6". We was freshmen together, you know what I'm saying? So crazy. So we both come off the bus. We got on these old cheap jeans and karate shoes. We was at Corliss, which is, back then, it's, South, the South was, financially, it was way up there, you know what I'm saying? They looking at us, we looking at them, man. Like, I go home and say, Mom, you got to change my wardrobe. That's the first thing I said my first day of school. You know what I'm saying?
So we standing, and I see Larry Bush, who I knew, who was a freshman as well. I see him down there standing next to another guy who had some height on him. I knew Bush was 6'6", and the guy standing next to him had to be every bit of 6'4". I'm just looking at it, so I'm wondering, who is this guy? Low haircut. He wanted some waves. You could tell he brushed it a lot.
I'm a low-end guy. He out south. You know what I'm saying? We call John baby girl. Because he had the good old hair, pretty boy. You know what I'm saying? All the girls want him. You know what I'm saying? He got that real good hair. Like shit. Excuse my French, but most black people ain't got the hair he had. You know what I'm saying? For real. He ain't just. His hair was so good, if he cut it down low and straight. You know what I'm saying?
And what caught my eye was the shoes that he was wearing. So you gotta think, we're talking about 1980. So really sneakers hadn't evolved yet. At the time, Nike was new, Adidas was of course there, but there was a lot of stuff that hadn't come out. Converse was around. So he had on a pair of shoes that wasn't those three. It wasn't Adidas, wasn't Nike, wasn't Converse.
I had these shoes on, some gym shoes that they ain't never seen before. You know what I'm saying? He asked me, where you get them shoes from? I said, my pops got it from you.
He said, my father got these for me. I got these from my father. So now, I grew up in a family. My father was a Chicago policeman, had been a policeman for 20 years at that point. So I asked him, just being a kid, not really prying or not, just being totally innocent. I said, man, your father got this. What does your father do? So he says, my father's a fucking gangster. And I laughed, and he really didn't laugh. So my laugh turned into a full-fledged laugh to a kind of a nervous laugh. I'm like, okay, I thought that was funny, you know.
So John said, "What your pops do for a living?" I said, "My pop." I said, "My pops said he a gangster." John looked at me like, "All right, whatever." Like, I ain't believe that. You know what I'm saying? Then this, you know what I'm saying? When I said it, you know, that was my upbringing. You know what I'm saying?
Me and Johnny met our freshman year in high school. Matter of fact, I saw Johnny walking down the hallway, and I was with John Batts, another one of our boys, you know, John, our buddy. And John was telling me, "Johnny, this guy coming at us, he play basketball." I said, "Yeah, I see you got a nice size." You know, I said, "What year? He's a junior?" He said, "No, you're a freshman like us." I said, "Wow." Then come to find out, we were in the same art class. So then me and Johnny got a chance to meet, talk, and become friends. And I'll never forget, I was a football player, baseball player. You know, everybody comes to the football games and the basketball games. Everybody. Don't nobody come watch the baseball. Sorry. And I was pretty good, you know. And Johnny would come out and watch my baseball games. All the home games. If he didn't stay, he would come out and show his face, but he would always come out. John would come out with him sometimes. And I always said, I'll never forget that, man, because I would ask females to come out and watch the games. Nobody would come out and watch baseball, but Johnny would come out there and watch the games. And of course, I watched their basketball games. So, you know, that just showed me what type of guy he was early on, because he didn't have to sit out in that hot sun, you know, but he came out and watched. So that just, that hit me, you know, it hit me.
So what happened was, several weeks later, maybe even a month later, Johnny and I became closer. Because of course I found out that he was a ball player, and you know, and basketball is like a fraternal type thing, you know, fraternity type thing. So as I got to know him, you know, found out his name was Johnny Fort, and as I got to know him and know about his family and, you know, his name and all of that, it dawned on me that his father is a fucking gangster.
It was different. We didn't sit like close to each other, but we did, you know, hang around each other. And I remember the first time when I found out who Johnny really was. You know, I mean, of course, he's just a human being, but I mean, I found out who Johnny's whole aura was. You know, we were in class, and this guy used to come in our art class, and he was a El Rican, I guess you would say. He was from London town. And he would always come in class, and he would be talking all that gang stuff, you know, all that. He didn't know who Johnny was either, but he would just be talking. And he was from the same gang, supposedly. And, you know, I used to sit there and say, man, that John, my buddy John told me that Johnny was who he is. I'm saying, I can't believe he ain't did anything. But one day, the guy came in there, and he was mouthing off about whatever, and Johnny put him in his place. And the kid, I never saw him in quarters anymore. I mean, he never came back to school, as far as I remember, you know. And that's when I first found out. I said, okay, so that was real, you know. That was some real stuff.
Excellent, you know what I'm saying? We started off, me, John, and Corey we was besties then. You know what I'm saying? John, mama, dad's police.
And not only that, not only does he call the ace a ace and a spade, Johnny is one of the kind of people that, if you are a friend of his, he kind of demands that of you too. You know what I mean? It's almost like, hey, we gonna call it what it is. You know what I mean? In whatever issue that we're talking about, whatever issue. You know what I mean? And usually when we do that, it turns into something comical. You know,
and I honestly believe that the bond was this. I believe that we were really more than just friends. We were really brothers. You know, we just came from different mothers and fathers, of course, but we were really brothers. And, you know, John, our friend John's dad, was like all of our fathers. You know, we all didn't have the father to lean on, you know, like our buddy John did. And Pops, man, he was a father to all of us. You know, me and Johnny have had one-on-one conversations about Pop. You know, that's how much of an influence he was in our lives. And I think, you know, just us being real brothers and not just friends, it sustained our friendship, brotherhood from 13 years old to, yes, I'm 57.
Coach Young, Vosty, Charlie Simon.
How was he?
Great. Knew I was supposed to be, you know what I'm saying, my game was so crazy. When you talk to John, you know what I'm saying? And I'm 13, freshman years old. Probably the second most talented guy on that team. You know, Tim Abrams was there. You know, George. You know, Larry, you had George Montgomery. You know what I'm saying? But far as like God play, yeah, you know what I'm saying?
It was really kind of immediate. Meaning, when I played with him the first couple of times, and the reason is because he had size. At the time, Johnny was probably a good 6'3", 6'4". So 6'3", 6'4" guys, when I played, especially high school ball, those were kind of big men. A small forward, power forward. Some centers were 6'4" in our league. So it was kind of immediate because he had a skill level. And so what I found out was Johnny had shot up in height, like from probably 7th grade to freshman year. He shot up probably 3 or 4 inches. So he was always a small guy. So he had guard skills. He could handle the ball. He could shoot the ball. He can get to the basket. You know what I mean? So he wasn't like a big man. So when I saw that, and you talking about 1980. So when I saw that, I knew then. I said, okay, this dude is, you know, he a little different in that way. You know what I'm saying?
When the Phillips would have been on varsity playing, like quarters played Phillips that year. I remember watching the game in the stands. They played him in the tournament. The man, you know, and the guy from quarters couldn't. I remember Carl Ghostin ripping that man 4 times in a row. You see what I'm saying? I'm like, look at this. You know what I'm saying? And then some players like, why you go here for, man? You know, and it started to make me doubt it. You know what I'm saying? For real. But I'm in Fosshoff. We almost go to the city championship, win it. They ain't never unheard of in quarters. We lost right before to go to the city championship on the Fosshoff level. Me and John, we had a great team. You know what I'm saying? Averaging crazy points. It was crazy.
I mentioned before, we had an extremely talented freshman class, and Johnny was a huge part of that. So when you take that variable out of the equation, that equation changes.
Coach Young couldn't coach talent. You know what I'm saying? But what made me leave for real, I'll never forget this. I'm coming up from the shower. And the shower was right next to the office, at the coach's office. And I overhear Coach Young talking to her on the phone. He's like, man, I'm really excited. I got this little point guard I love. I think I'm going to be really special. I'm thinking he's talking about me. He talking about my best friend, John. See, his name's John Bassett. You'll see him, you know what I'm saying? When I heard that, I was devastated. Not mad at John.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, when he left, I remember the day he left. He came in, we were wearing Converse All-Stars at the time, and they were leather, and they were gold, like black and gold for Corliss. And we had ordered the shoes and got the sizes in, and he came in. We were just getting ready to start practice. He came in street clothes to get his shoes, and I was confused as to how come he wasn't dressed and ready to go. And then, you know, it kind of got around that, you know, Johnny's transferring, and I was devastated, man.
I was so hurt. We all was hurt. Honestly, the whole school was hurt. You know, we looked at that team, that basketball team. If they would have kept them together, they would have had a chance to really do something, you know, on the other end of 103rd. We know about that other school down the hill. Up the hill. We knew about them, but Corliss had a chance to really do something. And Johnny, of course, back then we didn't understand. We were just too young. We were mad at whoever said Johnny was going to have to transfer. But it was his mom. I don't know if his uncle had anything to do with it, but his mom just wanted to get him out of Corliss because the gang stuff had really started to elevate back then, you know. And Johnny had a future, a bright future. 6'6", you know, could play, could see the floor, could shoot it, could rebound. You know, he was doing all the things that somebody at 6'6", if they was in the right hands, they were going to just keep on stepping up the ladder. So, you know, after we got out of high school and we looked at everything, we understood why they made that move.
Yeah, I called Mr. Tyler, the guy you talked to, like a pops and my advisor. And he put the plan for me to come play in Gary. I already had a relationship with a lot of guys in Gary. I'm playing AAU. You know, and the Wallace was one of the up-and-coming programs, one of the top programs in the area, in the city, Gary.
And that type of thing. And when you had players from Indiana who could handle the ball, they were an anomaly. They were an aberration. And when I mean really handle it. And on Johnny's team, he was one of 4 that were unique. There was Johnny, there was a guy named Anthony Gales, and there was a guy that we picked up at the last minute. His name was Winston Garland. Do you remember him? Well, he was the last pick on our team, and he was chosen because of the way he could handle the rock.
They just went down and won the city championship the year before, but they needed a guard. They had the whip, but the coach, he's trying to change. He's using the coach too there. He's trying to change the complexion.
I think Johnny's game was a combination of the West and the South. And then when he came to Indiana, he embraced the Indiana portion of the game.
Talk to me about that.
Well, it was not as much putting it on the floor. It was not as much as going to the basket. It was shooting jump shots.
I am the greatest basketball player nobody knew about. So I met Johnny because of basketball. Okay. My love for basketball and sports. I played in high school and in the summer programs and AAUs, so I'm sure it was at a basketball game. Maybe Kenwood, YVI, some old school stuff. My mother taught in the Gary school system. Well, she was a career counselor at Lew Wallace, Roosevelt, West Side. So I was always our home was Chicago. We were born in Chicago. We spent most of our time here, but we went to school in Indiana and lived in Indiana as well. And so I had the Gary, Chicago connection from my mother's employment. Well, I spent my formative years, elementary, in Indiana, and Hoosier basketball is the culture. So I played there.
So I get to Gary. The coach never seen me play. He heard all these stories. The coach I'm going to, playing for. Because Mr. Tyler tell him, man, he's like one of the best, Okay, cool. So we practice. I remember, coach, the first couple of plays, the coach was like, oh, okay.
What happened is Johnny was able to assimilate those skills into an Indiana game that I would like to say was more structured from the standpoint that they ran plays, they did certain things, but he was with a coach that would let him go off, but still, he taught him certain things in terms of how to play the game and how to play defense.
We like CMB, we spent a considerable amount of time when we had just a few bucks. I remember days when I and my other sister Doris would have altogether $5 and scramble enough money and go to the Chinese food place on 79th and Cottage and thought we were living, It was open. It was almost as if his mom received us. We used to stay at their house. He would always be at our house, and so it was very brotherly. Because there was never it didn't go from dating to becoming siblings or surrogate siblings. It was always brother sister. There was never a time where he was like, let's date and then we become close after that. It started because of basketball and then became brother and sisterhood.
Coach Smith, Earl Smith, he's top athlete in the area, one of the tops, went to University of Iowa, football, he was a great long jumper, so we had a lot in common, but it was so crazy because I had to move. I moved to Gary. I stayed with the coach's mom. When she made my meals, it was great. It was just like, and I can remember, just crazy. I remember they had a niece from California. She was coming to stay there. It was crazy because her name Tammy Smith, and she was like a little, ooh, nice. But it had rules. You can't look at him. And okay, so we wound up being like sisters.
And he took it to heart. I can honestly say that Johnny, if I may add this, was always respectful, would always listen, and we never had a problem with him, ever. while he was with us, not once. And I think that was a tribute to his environment, but also I think it was a tribute to him as a person. And if I may add, he had a family, a mother that looked after him.
That's when me and Brian Asbury, one of the close guys, we became close that first practice. So practice over with. You know how you first, I started dunking, 14, so I'm dunking now. So I want to show Asbury, practice over with, everybody go on me and Asbury on the court. I go up the dunk and hit a west spot. It's tragic. Popped my knee, first day of practice. Well, it was the ACL back then, but something happened when I messed my knee up.
And so we got him into the doctor and he had his surgery right away. And this was at the beginning, before season started. So here we come to the sectionals. And we're playing. So he was ready to go. He had his brace on and everybody was talking. They said, well, here comes Slim Goody. Everybody was waiting on him to come and see what he could do. He had one leg and I was concerned that there was so much pressure on him that, he may not attain and then he'd go backwards. What he did was he put on a show.
Let's have the ball twice in their hands. Douglas, no good. Back onto fourth. Johnny's gonna take it. Good.
Exploded.
That's what you got.
Who's your running mate?
On team?
Yeah.
Brian Asbury. Teller's front. Now Teller's wasn't there. He was there, but he wasn't ready yet. So Brian Asbury and my man named Dugan. Yeah, Dugan. A guy named Dugan. Dugan was a great athlete. I was a junior. He was a senior. We both averaged 25 that year. You know what I'm saying? Dugan like 6'2", but when I say an athlete, he high jumped 6'9", 6'11". You see what I'm saying? Dugan was my man.
In Indiana at that time, we had packed houses. I'm not talking about 500, I'm talking about 7,000 would be in the gym. And he walked into this West Side gym, over 7,000 people there.
Because Johnny, he already had the hype. So when Johnny came to Lew Wallace, he was already a top 100 kid in America. So when people understand America, we're talking about America, So that's all the kids in high school, Johnny top 100. So college coaches and everything was already coming to Lew Wallace to see Johnny. So when they get there, they see Asbury, they see Marcel, they see Renee Glover. So we talking about 4 high major dudes on the same high school team, and Johnny was the lead guy. So when the recruiters came, they said, Johnny got some teammates that can play. So he was the backbone of us getting that publicity.
I think that Johnny was an exceptional player. And see, what people don't realize, if I may add this, people don't realize what an athlete he was. Johnny only long jumped 1 year. He won the state. He jumped 24.9. Okay? He could have been a world-class long jumper. He was that gifted.
Actually, one of the top schools academic-wise, you know what I'm saying? That's why I was able to probably get in there, because my grades accordingly was way up there. I had 3 point something. So I was saying I'm leaving for academic reasons. It made sense to go to another school. The Wallace one, it was a mixed school. Back then, it was 70%, white, 30% black when I went there. You know what I'm saying?
Are you noticing girls now?
Noticing girl?
Yeah.
Oh, no question. Yeah, I'm noticing, but it's a difference. Way different Chicago. Cause they come in by the boatload there, Cause you're from Chicago, you know what I'm saying? They figure you just, they come in like never before when we got to Indiana.
Yeah, Johnny, it's gonna kill me for saying this, but Johnny always had an eye for the girls, right? And they definitely had an eye for him. And because I was the sister, I always got caught in the web of, but I knew you, and Johnny would date my friends, and it's like, just don't date my friends, because then it's gonna be a problem. And so we would We would come to some terse conversations about who is off limits because I had to maintain the integrity of my friendships and defend him at the same time. So, there was quite a few of those conversations.
He had many girlfriends, and of course, I had many friends because they wanted to get to his little sister so they can get to him. So that was always interesting to do that. But he was always respectful of the women. They knew he had a lot of girlfriends. It was okay.
And then he came back, and then we saw the potential. And then we said, well, we're going to nurture these young people from the standpoint that we nurture them by getting them exposure. So then we sent Johnny to the top basketball camps in the country, the BC camp and the 5-star camp. These were the top camps in the country. And we sent him there, and then after the first year he was there, they wanted to bring him back. Yeah, he'll come back, but you got to I want these other 2 or 3 to come that we didn't have all the money for.
But a lot of people knew him, but they didn't know him. Because he wasn't from Chicago. He's from Gary. And I used to read up on they used to send them high school books out. You buy them, you can go buy them at Walgreens. And you always seen Pearl Washington and Blackman. But Jay Ford was right there with him. He was right there with him. You had it was a crew.
One of my proudest moments of Johnny was him becoming All-American. That was, you got to realize Johnny and I, as freshmen, we're looking at Chicago basketball. That's when Chicago basketball was at its peak. Guys like Mark Aguirre, Isaiah Thomas, Darrell Walker. These guys were just coming out of high school. Doc Rivers. And the list goes on and on through the 80s and the 90s. So, as freshmen, we all strive to be, one of them top guys. And for him to become All-American, for him to leave and become All-American at Gary Lou Wallace, that was huge.
Gary Lou Wallace, yeah. I got a chance. I never had a chance to go to Indiana to watch him play, but when they came to Chicago, Johnny showed his little black butt. If I can cuss, he showed his black ass. He really did, and put himself on the map. He was already on the map in Chicago. Everybody, they all knew, and everybody was. Well, all the other schools were happy that he transferred, but of course we were unhappy that he left Corliss. But he went out to Indiana and put up some real numbers, and I had friends who went to different schools in Indiana who played Gary Lou Wallace, and they all would come back and say, man, you wasn't kidding about the guy who transferred. He all that in a bag of chips, So, yeah.
Red South, Red North, ain't no question. Ain't dog fight. Oh man, because I play West Side. I got the Tim McAllister. That's crazy. Roosevelt got the Renato Thomas and Winston Garland, whose son plays for Cleveland now. You see what I'm saying? Oh man. Then out of the suburb, you got Ann Durant that was really, it was a Catholic school, but they were special. Dan Dock, he does the news now. In Valparaiso, these two guys, they were brothers. They were the best white boys I ever seen play in my entire life. The Harden brothers.
Now, what made these two white boys so special?
Because they can do it.
So we graduated from the same high school. So he was just All-American. So everyone just, living in Indiana was different from Chicago. It's a little small town, Gary. So when you had a basketball game, everyone stopped everything. That was the highlight of the weekend, to come to the basketball game, and everyone knew about my brother coming from Chicago. So they had to see Johnny play. So I was at every game.
It was different then. It really was about basketball. It wasn't about deals and sponsorships. It was just about grit. When you learn in the Indiana system, it's about winning, but it's also about the culture. So from the transition to Illinois was different for me. When I started playing in high school at Luther South, that process was a little different because it was a different game. We were very Hoosier, you know, free throw, shoot, elbow. We played ball. When you add the swag to it in Chicago, it was a little different for me. Fortunately, I was in private school league, so they stuck more to the tenements of like traditional Hoosier style ball. But it was cool. I mean, I was nice, so it worked for me.
He was a giving person, and even though he was acknowledged as the #1 player on the team, it wasn't any arrogance by that. I recall there was one player, and he advocated for. He was a 6'8" guy who had a vertical length of about 6 inches, and he advocated for him. His coach did. We got him in the camps. And that person eventually went to Western Kentucky, and he was the #1 draft pick with Golden State.
Johnny Slim Ford is my guy since we was 15 years old.
But his growth, his initial growth, was stimulated in significant part by the fact that Johnny, as the best player on the team, embraced him and put him in positions that he could succeed and that the team would do well. And as a result, his confidence grew.
Johnny came over from Quarters High School in his sophomore year. Came over to Lew Wallace High, and he had been playing AAU with some of the other guys in the city, top guys in the city. And my high school coach was friends with the guy that was running the AAU program. So when Johnny wanted to come over to Gary, chose Lew Wallace, and Lew Wallace with Coach Earl Smith was just getting over it. We had some other young players, so we had Johnny, which at that time was one of the top players in Illinois. It just was a perfect fit for us.
Junior year, we lost to. It was hard getting beating Roosevelt.
Yeah, because they was on 2-5. They had tradition. They had went downstate. They had, it was a predominantly all-black school, and a lot of great basketball players came from Gary Roosevelt. So they always had, and Lew Wallace, where we are from, in the suburbs, like out in Glen Park, they really have a reputation of basketball. So when Coach Smith, they had won something, but not like it came when Coach Smith got there. So you're talking about Coach Kukoc, who was the coach before Coach Smith. He had a decent program. But when Coach Smith got there, the program went from mid-major to maybe junior college dudes. Now we got high major. We got everybody in America coming to my gym.
I remember playing in my junior year, with Otto Thomas, I scored crazy. I remember one game in particular that hurt me to this day. I still feel this game to this day. Because we played him at home. And the game was crazy because they put him, Otto Thomas, he was like a really special player. But he wanted to stick me. He told the coach he could stick me. Oh my God. So it was barbecue chicken for real. I literally I wanted with 45 that game. I had like 20 first half, 20, and you know what I'm saying? They took him off me the last 5-6 minutes. You see what I'm saying? But
did you feel sorry at all for them?
No, I couldn't.
Johnny Thornton, the All-American headed for the University of Iowa.
Oh, the senior year. Ooh, God, it's just we ranked nationally. You see what I'm saying? We ranked probably like 3rd in the country because that year, our senior year, Baltimore ranked #1 in the country, and they had a whip. They had, I'm gonna give you the legend, Muggsy Bogues, Reggie Williams. They had Wingate, Reggie Lewis who died. This the 4 players they got. The guy named Graham who went to Georgetown, the big gangster looking guy. This is they starting 5 on high school in Dunbar. They got like 4 of them guys was in the NBA. You see what I'm saying? They was #1 in the country out here.
It was a wrap. I mean, we ran through everybody. Johnny was back to his form, and I was a little more mature. Asbury was a little more mature. Buster came into himself. So we had a nice squad. Then we had 6, 7. We had 4 or 5 other guys that was not high major, but they was D1 dudes. So you're talking like 8 or 9 dudes in practice going at it every day.
Oh, well, in grammar school, my brother and I always went to the same grammar school. My mother never separated us. So growing up, I didn't have a name. I was little Johnny Ford's sister.
Give me that again.
I was little Johnny Ford's sister, and it bothered me because, you know, I couldn't get a boyfriend. Didn't nobody want to really date me because I was little Johnny Ford's sister. They was either afraid of him or had so much respect for him, and they felt like, okay, we can't do this to little Johnny Ford's sister. So I didn't have an identity until I got in high school, but then I followed him in high school.
Yeah, but that was, you know, I remember I see the game now, like, why did coach not have us in a man-to-man? We got greyhounds. All we had to do is put a player man-to-man. They only had one shooter, you know, Troy Lewis. You know, he was slow. Shooter though, but he was slow. We couldn't play man-to-man. We, you know what I'm saying? I lined up 6'5", 6'6", Edge Bay 6'7", Teller 6'10". You know, it's high school.
We would get them, they would come in and, you know, sit around and we talk or whatever. And then when they became seniors, we made sure they had employment during the summer before they went to college. They had a little nest egg for themselves to go away to school.
When Lou Olson came on 39th Street, Lou Olson came on 39th Street before Johnny came. Johnny would come home. Johnny would come home. He didn't stay out in Gary. He lived out in Gary because, you know, he was going out there, but he would come home in the summer. Lou Olson came on that block. All them cats came on that block. All them cats, Bobby, all those cats came on there. Denny Crumbs, all those cats came to see Johnny.
Yeah, everybody. Well, I committed already. I committed in November.
So you had committed to
Iowa
because of
the pressure of I wanted to get over it because I just wanted to concentrate on playing, you know. Cause I was, you know, before my senior year, it was Iowa, Georgetown, UCLA, Oregon State, I think Carolina, something like that. You know what I'm saying? My top 5 picks. You know what I'm saying? But,
and who was the coach at Iowa at that time?
Lou Olson, the great Lou Olson. You know what I'm saying? So I signed in November. He leaves right, you know, in March. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and that was the first year that they had the early signing period.
I did not engage myself in Johnny's recruitment initially. I figured that was his coach, you know. And when he went with Lute Olson, they asked me about it. I thought that was good. But then Lute Olson left after a year, and George Raveling came in. And I think that was the beginning of the end as it relates to Johnny's basketball career.
Bobby, which was a close friend of his. And back then, all them coaches that was black, they wanted to be, they wasn't confident. Only coach that was confident in himself and who he was as a black coach was John Thompson. This is who I am. I ain't trying to be none of them white motherfuckers. You got George Robin, you got your Jarvis, they want to be the white counterparts. No, John Thompson, this is who I am. These are my players, I love them. You know what I'm saying? I'm battling for them, I'm batting for them. Come on, anytime you got a coach to talk to a drug dealer and tell them you come around, my players are gonna be a problem.
Coach Raveling, his mentor was Bobby Knight, so he acted like him. And I thought that was a mistake. And he tried to break people.
This is so crazy. Most coaches, especially black coaches, always wanted to break a guy from the inner city. If you're trying to break him, don't recruit him. Be like John Thomas. Love what you got. He had everybody from Baltimore, the slums, and they loved him, died for him. And it was reciprocal. You know, you have most of these coaches, man, they want a city guy and happy to have him. Then when they get him there, they want to break him. Why you want to break something that it's like your wife. You like your wife, when first she was your wife, the heels and everything, you love that about your wife. I mean, your future. So you marry her. Now you tell her don't wear flats. Why? When you seen her with them heels on, that would make you go crazy about it, right? Well, I'm gonna put it in flats for now. But that's how it is with them coaches. The coaches love all the stuff you do, you know, to get you where you want to be. Then they get you this program. Now you don't want you to do that no more.
I recall one time Johnny had a great game. He got over 20 points, 7-8 assists, you know. Didn't play the next game. And he would call me at the office or at home and he'd talk about it. And I told him, just keep your head up, you know. And
talent-wise, he knew my talent was level there, but like I say, my freshman year at Iowa, we preseason ranked 4th in the country. You know, Steve Carfino, Greg Stokes, Michael Payne, Andre Banks. He got a whip. You know what I'm saying? But he can't put it together.
So I remember George Raveling came to my office in Indiana. Surprise. And he wanted to talk to me. He said, well, I don't know if he's right for us. I said, he's right for everybody else. Well, you know, I want my players here. And I just looked at him.
Yeah, he couldn't, you know, dude, it got so bad when we got to losing, they got to burn, they started burning like crosses in his house, in front of his house. Yeah. Iowa got a great fan base. But the thing about it, he had to run an offense that was crazy. Like he told me, Ford, you can't be going between your legs, and you don't understand. I'm from the city. I'm from the goal. That's part of our, you know, it's just part of our upbringing. You know what I'm saying? If I can't put it between my legs to do my move, that's how I get my rhythm and everything. You see what I'm saying? So you like, we want you to bring straight up, you know, all this. Yeah, I was getting ripped. I was a shell of myself as a player. I knew that. He took the game. I didn't like the game no more at Iowa.
And I said to myself that it may be best that he go somewhere else. I thought, and then that opened up a keg of worms, though.
In the season, I had a fight in practice with Steve Carfino, who was like my mentor.
Like a real fight.
Yeah. I fought him in practice because I was just so frustrated with everything that was going around me. I fought like my best man, my man who I loved and looked up to. And he said it to me, he said, what you doing? I'm the only one to do everything for you. Make sure you're good. You know what I'm saying? He was exactly right. I never forget that. I said, you're right. But you know what I'm saying? But that shows you how going I was. You know what I'm saying? Because I had like some great games and you know, yeah, next game you probably wouldn't even play me.
It's your freshman year.
Yes. I'm on one time on ESPN Top 10. You know what I'm saying? We playing Ohio State. I did a move that they ain't never seen before. I was on the top 10 plays. You know what I'm saying? So the talent was never the issue. It was always like a head game type of thing. I don't know if you're trying to like break me maybe.
You had teams like, I won't go to it in the Big 12, whatever. They were cannibals. I recall that head coach came to my office. I was director of a city agency, and so he sat down. He said he wanted him to come here, and I said, well, I'll talk to him and see what he has. He said, well, it's worth $10,000 if you do. And he comes and signs up. I never spoke to him. I'm not pimping him. Okay?
Like Lou Olson had a great system. This is how Lou Olson do it. He bring a guard in like Carfino would have been a senior my freshman year. That's how you do it. So I got it. That's how you bring him in. You bring another guard in to your position, your senior year.
But then the coach from Virginia Tech didn't go through me. He went and made a subsequent proposal that he accepted. I told him I wasn't in favor of it, but I supported.
I love being. It was in Houston, in Texas. So I really should have went to Rice, but I wanted to go to Tech, Virginia Tech.
I always felt that he would have been better served going to a place where he would be nurtured as an individual, as a human being, as a young man, help him to grow, rather than just look at him as an entity, a property, where they can just use him till they use him up.
Once we graduated, everybody was making their move to college, and after we graduated, I didn't see Johnny again, maybe for going into our sophomore year of college, and over that summer, I should say, and they were playing at Chicago State, the Pro-Am. I'm walking up to to the door, and this green or black, I can't remember, it was a dark green or black Saab pull in. Top was down, and I'm looking, I said, hey, I thought it was Jordan. I'm thinking, man, Mike playing tonight. It's Johnny's black head. He just styling and profiling. He pull up, he jump out, and Johnny never changed from the first day I met him to that day. Now he could have been looking at me like, yeah, I'm ratting you out here walking with them Reeboks on. You know, he could have acted, but Johnny was the same person. Man, we hugged and talked and hugged and talked and hugged and talked. And went in the game and watched him play, and he played like he belonged. You know, he belonged out there.
It was great. You know, I got set out 1 year. You know what I'm saying? Dale was there. You know, had a great team. Dale was one of the top players in the country. He averaged 30 without the three-pointer. You know, people talking about his son, but this man averaged 30 points, and the three-pointer didn't come until he graduated. You know, great team. Set our year. Then my junior year, we went to the tournament, lost to Villanova. We had a great year.
I mean, I seen them do Louisville up. I seen them do Memphis State up. So he wasn't taking no prisoners.
How was your year individually?
Good. I was, I never could average a lot by later. We was like the second best backcourt in the country.
Well, when I finally got a chance to play against him, it was like they was at our home. It was at Cincinnati University, and the coach said, look, the scouting report was they got 2 big guards, and you have to guard them at all times. And if you don't, they're gonna kill us. They had Dale Curry, and they had Johnny Ford. And at the time, they was doing which was called the Metro League back then. Was super, super, super tough. You had Louisville, you had Memphis, you had Florida State, and every team was ranked, but us. Every team. So him doing what he was doing back then, he was handling his business.
We was the number 2 backcourt in the country, me and Dale. The number 1 backcourt in the country was Vernon Maxwell and Moulton at Florida. You know, but we was one of the top backcourts in the country. So he was a couple years older than me. So me scoring wasn't no big deal. I could score. In the game I scored some a lot, but when I had him scoring, Keith Colbert, Perry Moore, they was 3 of the top players in the country. We was good.
You lose in the tournament. Is this your sophomore
year? So I come back my junior year, and everything kind of changes. You know what I'm saying? It just the program changed. It's kind of shifted in a way. Because Bimbo Cole's come. Bimbo Cole's pretty good. But
if you get Johnny an inch, he gonna take a mile, and that's what he was doing. So he was doing it so tough, and the coach came to the bench and was like, "Man, we gotta keep this guy out this paint." Because he was getting in the paint and drawing everybody, and people don't know he was a heck of a passer. He actually, I think, led the conference in assists. So he knew the game. He knew the game very well.
Well, yeah. So I come back my junior year, and everything changes. You know what I'm saying? It just the program changed. It's kind of shifted in a way. I was the only returning starter. I wound up having problems the following year. So I stayed played 3/4 of the year, and then I just left.
It wasn't that he went to Iowa in retrospect or to capsulize, but rather it was what happened at Iowa after Lute Olson left that I thought was a very, very negative situation.
Showed up on the next time we was playing, and I'm like, man, where my man at? And I'm looking for him, and he didn't come back next year. But I would love for him to come back, and finish up what he started.
Finish the year out, or did you lead the team?
I left the team 3/4 of the year. Yeah, I was gone.
Would you say, for all intents and purposes, that was the end of your basketball career?
Pretty much. Thought not, but yeah, pretty much, yes, it was. You know what I'm saying? Because it's oh, wow. I really, you gotta understand, once you transfer, it's delicate anyway. Because now, it's some uncertainty about, is I really like this or whatever. So if you transfer, and then, but I had some success when I first got there, so that kind of helped me. But say I got there and didn't have the success, I would have been gone probably earlier. But I had some success my first 2 years there. And then I just he took it out of me. And it's crazy what the coach can do to a person.
I went to West Kentucky 4 years, my fourth year, but I was pretty good. I went from like averaging 10 points to like averaging 18, 19 points. So that propelled me into the eyes of NBA scouts. So I was a lottery pick, the 14th pick. I came back home that summer and over 87, and me and Johnny hung out some that summer. And then when I went away, it's kind of like we kind of lost contact. Now I'm going to the league.
We didn't run across each other until next year, and then it was like every guard that started with Johnny went to the league, because you had Dell Curry was first, and then you had a guard by the name of Bimbo Coles that was second.
Yeah.
But your mind was made up, I don't want to do this no more.
Mine was made up, you know what I'm saying? And then I still had, like, my best friend, one of my best friends, you know, was Carl Harris. I used to call him, like, in college, you know what I'm saying? He used to just talk to me what he was doing, whatever, you know. Then I come home in the summer and see it. So when I came home that summer, my junior year, it was a wrap. I wasn't going back.
Well, I heard about Johnny was been playing. No, he was. I didn't hear about. Let me rephrase that. I didn't hear about he was playing. When I got there, Johnny was suited and getting ready to play. And I asked him, "What are you doing home?" He said, "Man, I'm going back. You know, Johnny. I'm going back." He didn't give me a reply because whatever was going on there, this is the first I ever heard that. He didn't want to tell me. I don't know what it was. And then he like you say, he caught the bug by watching me. And I didn't know that. I wasn't trying to be that influence to him because I was the first person. So this ain't for you, Johnny.
Johnny at that time was, he was a businessman. You know, around that time. When he got out of Virginia Tech, that was the last school he attended was Virginia Tech. And then at that time, he was back in Chicago.
I think Johnny kind of, when he came back home, he didn't play as much ball. And see, people don't know the history of his All-American status, top 5 in the nation. You know, man, come on, that's super, super big. That's what you work for. That's what you want.
Well, I wanted to play, but it likes the basketball situation was like, man, it was becoming almost a dead issue. I started just playing people for money, and you know, they betting on me, all that stuff. But if I was going back to school, it was over. Then the street life kind of like started a little bit, you know what I'm saying? You know, hanging around basically all dopers. Yeah. But when that happened, it's a wrap.
I mean, we met. Johnny came home from school and he played on the team I played on. And we took everybody down, me and Johnny, just alone. And then he had to go back to the school, man, and tears came out my eyes, man. I ain't wanted to go back.
We play basketball together, and he think nobody can foul him. So when we play against each other, I would foul his ass. I don't care, you know. But he could play. I ain't gonna lie, he could play. But, you know, he just think he can't be touched.
Yeah, if you had a player on the west side and he felt like he was better than our player, we meet him in a enclosed place and we put money on the line. We didn't put much as $40,000-$50,000 on the line in a game before.
Popular and not just being in the streets, but being his atypical personality, the type of person he is, he's going to attract that. And he did, you know. So, you know, and then, see, it wasn't new to him. Johnny being in the streets and becoming a street-known person, that wasn't new to Johnny because he was an athlete. So Johnny always was popular. So that wasn't something that, you know, that a guy that, let's say, wasn't an athlete or wasn't popular coming up through grade school and high school, and then he gets to the streets and now he's got a little fame, and you know what I mean? He was totally different, so he was prepared for that.
We never played like ourselves. We always put our money on the best player. You know what I'm saying? See, Johnny was good. He was considered one of the best players, but Johnny was a hothead. So if foul Johnny too hard, you know what I'm saying, the whole thing might go up. So we kept him off the court, you know what I'm saying? I mean, he was like, you know what I'm saying, he could play, he could take the bump and grind and all that. But when the refs started like they go against him because of who he was, he might have a whole motherfucker gym surrounding.
Nothing. It just it didn't go that fast like that. It was more of a, you just hang around a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Because the trust is, you just can't go to a person just like, I want to do this and that. You know, you still got to like, it's something you got to develop. You know what I'm saying? Most guys who get in the game coming from like a being an athlete or whatever, don't just really just go right to the game. You hang around these guys, they get a feel for you, get a feel for them, and then you go. Because a lot of the guys, I ain't gonna lie to you, they didn't want me to get in the game, and it wasn't because, how I phrase this, I ain't gonna say it was hating, but they was scared because they knew with my backing, it was gonna be a wrap.
Well, we'll go to a club or something, or even a basketball game, and if Johnny walk up, everybody always knew him. He never stood in line. It's just like he was so important. So when he go, I was like, oh shit, we with JF. We walking in with him. So that's how we would get in also. Or Bimp. You know, that's his buddy. You know what I'm saying? That's how I met him, through Bimp.
Yeah, 6 months. You know what I'm saying? And I don't like name names and like that, but it was like 6 months, you know what I'm saying? Because like I said, the guys from out south didn't give me that chance. They was like, nah, you know what I'm saying? And then once I got the chance from somebody out west, whose name we did say before, then they want to come and like, come on man, we ready. Nah.
So did you begin hustling south, west, or where?
No, I
everywhere.
hustled everywhere, but well, mostly out south. But the people out south, the guys who I knew, they didn't give me a chance initially. You know what I'm saying? We probably tried, they basically want to spoon feed you, know what I'm saying? It's, the stuff they trying to get you, some shit, you know what I'm saying? You better off working a job,
Tupac and Biggie, they was rapping about those Versace shirts way back then. I've been knowing Johnny since the 80s, and he was wearing that shit back then. So before they even started rapping about it,
all the top end, high end cars that he loved to drive. If he seen something and it just came out, he had to have one.
He did, and he kept them up well too. He wasn't that one to just drive and didn't keep it up. Maintenance and keeping it clean and shiny was always important. And yeah, whereas I didn't like cars, my brother loved them, and he had them and he took care of them. So hey, why not? You can afford it, go for it. Yeah.
The first day I met Johnny was me and my guy was riding, and he was like, man, come on, we finna go to this concert, just out of the blue. And I'm like, what we gonna do? Johnny pulls up in a Mercedes-Benz. I'm like, we riding Chevys and old school Cadillacs. He up to date in a Mercedes-Benz, way back when. And took us to the first concert, Eric B. and Rakim.
I mean, just me being, part of the organization, you know what I'm saying, and who I was, you know what I'm saying. See, the thing is with that, like I said, I always lived like a two-life thing. I always was a basketball player, but the street life was always there, you know what I'm saying. So me going back there with the organization was never a problem, you know what I'm saying. I ain't playing ball the most so bounds. But then you talk about the hustling aspect of it, it's different, you know what I'm saying. They knew I had the street cred already, basically. So they know with the street cred, and you put this in his hand, it's a wrap, because they really have street cred. They was mostly basketball players or whatever. You see what I'm saying? Because every time, I knew that they had street cred, because every time something happened in the street was a problem, they just called it.
Well, basically, there was some stuff going on in the hood, and it was really about a girl, and a guy called me and was like, I don't like this, I don't like that, and I'm finna do this and do that, and nah, you're not finna do none of that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they always say Johnny rode with 100 guys, but Johnny ain't ride with no 100 guys. If you fuck with Johnny, you're gonna see 100 guys. That's the only time you're gonna see 100 guys. Most of Johnny is with a woman or he by himself. That's it. And like I said, he come around in different cars, it's always a different woman. That's how he roll.
No, he got to be pretty and petite, man. He didn't do the big at all.
I done seen some of the baddest girls with this dude, man. I ain't like, I don't know if it's because of the money or what, but that nigga had some bad women, man. You're an ugly motherfucker, but, you know, that's my boy. But you talking about women, man. I ain't lying. Like I said, he come around in different cars, but it's always a different bad one with him, man.
For some, Johnny wasn't the guy that would just like approach a girl. I think his magnetic person, he's so comfortable with himself that we all just would, he was silly, you know, he would crack jokes, and he has that boyish smile no matter what he was doing behind the boyish smile. I believe that those girls just had a natural attraction to him. And so, honestly, some of it I didn't know was happening until I knew it. I'm just like, what? Wait a minute. How did that happen? And then where one girl lives off Michigan Avenue, which is the direction home for the other ones when we leave in the clique and Shigrix, and they see the car out there, and then it's like a thing. And then it's, you knew, because that's your other friend, and then I'm all in the middle.
Yeah, he come on in our area where we from, and come over and greet the guys. So I jumped in his Benz and took off with his girl in the car. We was gone for like about 30 minutes. I pulled back up. I'm like, damn, I thought I was gonna have to send them guys at your ass. I started laughing like, all right, we wasn't doing nothing but cruising, man. It's a nice car, that was it.
Everything, you know what I'm saying, you know, to a guy that's, you know, back then, 20, you know what I'm saying, it was with women, cars, you know, all that is attractive without knowing the negative, the other side of it, because you're not thinking about the negative side of it initially, you know what I'm saying, for real. And once you're in that life, it's hard to think about the negative side. It's like, once you're really in it, for real, you gotta take yourself out of the situation and understand, you know. That's why if a person's in jail, and you tell them, if a person in jail tells somebody, man, you need to cool out, man, I hear your name about it. That person outside in the world would never understand it, because you're in it. He ain't gonna understand it until he sits down, take himself out of there, or be locked up, where you can really see. It's hard to see yourself when you're in it. You can't see it. Life is so fast, you know what I'm saying? You know, everything is fast.
Johnny was like I don't know if you know the rapper Birdman. Before it was a Birdman, it was a Johnny Ford. He was the first #1 stunner that I knew of. Street legend.
I remember, you know, when they, because I had got dropped out of California, Golden State, so once I got out there, I didn't really come back to Gary that summer. So I just remember, as I'm playing in the league, guys coming back and saying they was hanging out with, you know, Johnny Ford. He out there, he going to the club, he out the old bar. I didn't tell people that that's my guy like in high school. I was listening to what they saying about Johnny. And when he be out the bar, he coming there with the Louis Vuitton, Rolls Royce seats. You know, they was telling me everything about how Johnny was going. I was listening like, okay. And I'm not one time mentioning that me and him played high school ball together.
Because we went everywhere, we did everything, we represented Chicago well, just from going state to state. And when we got in different states, everybody was like, okay, that's them boys out of Chicago, you know what I'm saying? We dress nice, our women dress nice, and we represented Chicago well.
Oh, we had back then we had like special places. We had a place for every week, you know. You had Monday Cotton Club. You had Tuesday, back in the days, was Copper Box. You had Wednesday was Chick Rick's. Saturday was Chick Rick's. Chick Rick's was like that special. You had to be special to be at Chick Rick's back then. And it's the amazing part about me that I learned from being at Chick Rick's was you see guys come with briefcases and stuff with the handcuffs on them with the briefcases. You know, like they had. So why you? When I first started, like, why these guys bringing this briefcase in it? And down the line, I found out that them guys were really playing. They didn't have a slug in that briefcase. It just was a look.
Did we party? Give me some. Champagne. He's my champagne buddy still. I don't like the same brand he does, but I'm gonna let him slide. Yeah, we were Tuesday at the Copper Box and Sunday at Rick's and AKAs on Thursdays. Yeah, we all partied though. That was our thing. We partied peacefully though, actually. But that was our thing. Get super dressed up. Everybody trying to dress like Carl Harris because his name is GQ because he's always been the dresser. And yeah, that's what we did.
Yeah, Las Vegas probably will be our best trip. We all went to like fight nights. He might have bought all the fight tickets and then got us in all the parties free. You know what I'm saying? And we ate one time. We was in Benihana, and our bill was outrageous, and he ended up tipping the waitress $6,000.
So the money was flowing like that.
Yeah, we was having plenty of money.
Oh, the Range Rover. Johnny had bought a new Range Rover. So the guy rode up on the side of him like, man, that's a nice truck, man. Me and you got the same type of truck. Johnny pulled off on his ass and was like, you never seen the truck again. He don't want to be like nobody. Johnny always want to be the step above you. That's the type of guy he was.
And we partied and we bought out the dance floor and everything and bought bottles and we drank and we had a good time and we was real respected and we respected the other guys just as well as they respected us because we would send bottles to them and they would send them back to us to let us know that they appreciate us too.
Yeah, great. That's why, you know, with my uncle, you know, Chief gone and Larry gone, it's a difference because accountability. Like a long time ago, your mom could be, say you're a Stone, your mom could be in the GD neighborhood, you know. We don't play mamas. So when she in that area, they're gonna make sure she good. Like your mom could be a male girl, a male lady. They're gonna make sure she good. Cause something happened a long time ago with like one of my uncles, my aunties rather. He got robbed. He worked for the city, got robbed in the city. I called one of the guys that's GD, found out who was the gov in that neighborhood, who had it for the area, talked to him, bam. Now they know that's my Uncle Bobby Skippy. It's even better for him. Now he got super, he gonna have super security when he's there. He gonna make sure nothing happens. That's how it was then. It's not like that anymore. You know, we didn't play the mamas or families like that, you know what I'm saying? I think you get your target, okay, you got a problem, you go get her.
Because we was in a few situations where that he got me out of them, you know what I'm saying, and I respected him for that.
Pick it back off that you just said about my uncle.
Yeah.
The thing that really haven't been publicized, but people need to know is with him, he's from the Woodline area. Mount Carmel is in the Woodline area, which is one of the top Catholic schools for white America back in the days. Back then, these people was going to school, getting robbed, because they had to come through the Woodline area to get to school. I mean, when I say robbed, knocked out, everything, you know. He stopped all that. Gave them a free base for forever. Y'all could be untouched going to school to Mount Carmel. But the years later, these are the same people become your U.S. attorneys and federal governments that's who come at them and with no remorse. I ain't saying not don't do your job, but think about without him, you wouldn't have never been, you know what I'm saying? You could have been one of them casualties of wars back then, when, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, just have some little remorse, a little respect for what happened before you got to be what you want to be, you know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. We ain't saying not do your job, but, you know, show something, but they don't, you know what I'm saying?
Well, you know, you got money, you're going to have haters. You know what I'm saying? And he had money and he was cocky.
I was hearing Johnny up at Red's just doing goofy shit like, let me get a drink. The drink, $10. Johnny would take $20,000 and sit it on the table. You took out $20,000 to pay $20 tab. Johnny, stop doing that, bro.
Inviting trouble.
But they didn't want that trouble. He inviting trouble. Now Johnny was one person but you got these little knuckleheads. It's a blessing. It's not a good thing that he went to jail. One of these young boys tried to kill Johnny. What's going on now? They'd have been killed Johnny.
You come up on your first bid. How was that? How did you feel about yourself when that first bid happened?
Terrible, you know what I'm saying? Because the case was crazy. Because I was out. The case, they came and got the guys. They came and got the guys on that case in June. Came and got me in October, September. So evidently somebody had to say something to make them grab me. But the thing is about it, that was so crazy about that case was, I was in the paper for that case, for them coming to get me before they came and got me. I was in the South Suburban. I read a South Suburban newspaper, and it said, and they talked about the case. They had my name in the paper about it. And Johnny Ford, he's one of the connects for this guy.
What was the case? What was the case against you your first time?
It was a drug case, drug conspiracy. But they were talking about the guy, because the guy he lived in South Suburbs. He's from Chicago, but he lived in South Suburbs. So when he got arrested, he had a big old article, you know what I'm saying? But it was like, and I read the article in the South Suburban paper, my name is saying, you know, and they handed me for a source of for cocaine towards him. And I was like, oh wow, you know what I'm saying? And then like 2-3 days later they came, you know what I'm saying? But I was out for like 4 months before, you know, they came and got him, and then they came and got me like some 4 or 5.
I mean, I didn't know how deep it was until later, and it was great that he didn't have to do a whole lot of time. You know what I'm saying? Because of the name.
Like 2.5 years, 3 years, 4 years, like 3.5 years on that, which was first time offender. You know what I'm saying? The case was really nothing, and I ain't gonna fault nobody, but the guy who the case was I had been stopped messing with the guy, you know what I'm saying? But the baby mama was like, you know, go check on him, make sure he's all right, you know, see if he's good, and you know, just, you know, don't act, you know, because I went to that level, and she was like, go and check on him, make sure he's good, you know what I'm saying? And I did, and when I did, he talked about it. His phone was, you know, the phone was bad.
Because of his uncle. Uncle was really outstanding guy, but he probably went about some things that he probably wished he could have changed.
Like we used to have a thing that I used a lot back then. Well, if you want something from me, okay. We talk. When I meet somebody, we talk one time about initially what we're gonna do. After that, we ain't talking no more. So when I see you, I'm gonna write it down. You're gonna read it. You write down what you want. We burn it. That's it. Now, if you ever ask me something about anything verbally, I'm gonna figure you wired up. And if I ask you something about something, you should figure I'm wired up too. Because we already had agreed, we're not talking no more at the initial contact, which is good. I want to be able to sleep at night. I want you to be able to sleep at night. So I'm going to write what I want, or what you need. You write what you need. We burn it, and we're going about our business.
Nah. For the type of time they was giving out for what we was doing back then, it wasn't really worth it once you add it up.
Give me a average time somebody might get if they got caught.
I mean, we always used to say 2 years of glory and a whole life to tell a story. So you might get life for something that you only did 2 years for. You know what I'm saying? They was giving out way too much time. They was giving out more time than you get more time for drugs back then than you did a murder.
I went to the streets.
Okay.
I always tell my kids I went to college, but I went to the penitentiary. You know, that was my college, a learning experience. But, I was a hustler, just like everybody else. That's all we did in the 80s and 90s,
Because I had just had my first kid, and I really wanted to see him grow up instead of somebody else raising him. So I happened to tell everybody that I'm about to sit down.
Was that an easy transition?
No. I mean, basically, I called him back then. I had a bunch of girlfriends, living with 2-3 different girls, paying bills here and there. I went and told them and paid their bills up for like 6 months. I said, man, I'm done. Y'all can have any guy y'all want, you know what I'm saying? Ooh, I ain't mad at you. It's something I got to do. And I stopped and I had a seat. And I didn't eat out the garbage can, but I probably ate around it.
And it's just like changing the subject just a little bit. It was like with the federal government. The federal government was cool when we was on the corner, making a little $500,000 or whatever. The problem came when they started raiding our houses that we live downtown. And they said $500,000, $2-3 million in your house. They're like, okay, shit, these guys ain't just no corner guys anymore. That's when the problem kind of came about. They was cool with us. They didn't care about us making that type of little money out there, driving with the Chevy and all that stuff. But now you got guys who got these cars cost $100,000. They doing any type of investing in stuff to help them in long term. That's why the government got a law, and it's kind of tricky. It's like say I got a drug conspiracy, charged with drug conspiracy and money laundering.
For someone who doesn't know what drug conspiracy is, what does that mean?
It's just 2 or more people doing some type of act or some type of, 2 or more. But the catcher in that is the money laundering, which is if you charge with money laundering before the drugs, that's like 20 years extra. Just think about it. Because money laundering, you already got your money. I'm already a legit guy. I got my money. Now I'm gonna take this legit money and put it in some drugs. That's a problem for the federal government. It's like a double negative for them. You see what I'm saying? Just charge me with the drugs and then the money laundering. Don't charge me with the money laundering first and then the drugs. Oh, it's a wrap for me. That's a big thing.
Now what he doing now is with upper class and white folks. So I don't know none of these white folks. He tried to introduce me to them before because they gamble. They play poker, this, that, and other. He know that's what I love to do. I love to gamble. So he was gonna introduce me to they circle, but before he ever did introduce me to their circle, they came down on it.
I did it. I looked on my shoulder, just because of me being in the street. Because back then we had just worked by the police. Now it became then you get police, stick up man, and all that stuff. The stick up man that comes to like later on. You see what I'm saying? So looking behind my shoulder was like, it was not really like one of the things, I thought most same thing was like, what about the authorities? You see what I'm saying? Because my thing is, it was pretty much suicide to come this way, mess with us. You know what I'm saying? It was, and think about it, if you look on my shoulder like somebody go stick me up, that's like a funny question, you know what I'm saying? Because that was like a big thing I thought about it. Because who's gonna stick me up? Not saying they can't. But if you stick me up and let me live, that's why, like, if I get stuck up and a guy ain't got no mask on, I know I'm out of here. You see what I'm saying?
Because he has no fear.
No, I know he gonna kill me because he ain't no mask. If a guy stick me up and ain't got a mask on, I'm never gonna fight and do whatever because I'm dead. You know what I'm saying? At least with the mask, you got a chance. You see what I'm saying? For real, that's how I would look at it. Ooh, he ain't trying to kill me, he's trying to get his money and get out of here. If he come stick me up without the mask, oh man, because you think a person's gonna stick me up and let me live. With my attitude I have and how I think and my beliefs and everything, I get to sleep. It's gonna be, you know what I'm saying? It's not gonna happen.
I mean, I don't quite remember him sweating too hard because he had a few people he can talk to, you know what I'm saying? Like, do this, do that, hurry up and do this, hurry up and do that, get this out the way, get this out the way, you know what I'm saying? And it basically was like that.
I don't know, because you're doing it differently. You're doing it without saying much, without. I'm hidden and doing it. You see what I'm saying?
So do you feel like when you were first out there, it was about the flash?
Yeah.
But now it's not about the flash.
Like I can remember the time I'm living downtown. I'm under surveillance. I know I'm under surveillance. I got 3 apartments in this downtown building. The feds don't know who I'm actually dealing with, and we're moving some crazy units out this car ride, and then, you know what I'm saying? Because the deliveries, they delivering the stuff downtown. They looking for me. Yeah, he's supposed to. I got 2 guys coming in different cars, like we out of there and unload all that stuff without a flash. You see what I'm saying? That's the level I'm talking about. That's different. You know, some years ago I wasn't in bed down there. I wasn't thinking on that type of level. But I'm downtown, and we're moving like this, under surveillance. When you can move under surveillance, and they don't know who your go-to people are, that's with you. That's a good thing. That's why you really, people who are really close with you, that you're doing these things with, you ain't trying to hang out with them. When I go out, these ain't people that I'm actually doing really good business with. You know what I'm saying? These are just like some people I had a good time with. Because you don't want nobody to know, you know what I'm saying, for real, or lay on somebody like that. You don't, because they looking. You know what I'm saying? You don't want the federal government to know who your point A, point B play. You know what I'm saying? That you did. You know what I'm saying? I might just do it myself then. You see what I'm saying? For real.
I don't know much about it because the second time he kept it away from me because I had left the streets alone myself. So like he said, he was doing it high end with people of different color, and it didn't include me. So I basically was shocked when I heard about it the second time.
It was a guy who was my partner, good partner, man. His brother. I did a favor for him based on his brother. You know what I'm saying? And that was a downfall because he had a wire. I wasn't thinking that he had a wire on. You see what I'm saying? A wire. That's like the having a wire is like coming home and seeing your wife in bed and getting locked up. That's the worst of the worst. You see what I'm saying? The wire is like devastating. You know what I'm saying? It's like the wire is 100 times on 100. It's unbeatable.
When you heard, how long had it been since you had seen Johnny when he went in? Like, I think he did like a 10-year bid. So had you seen him before he went in? Like, or what, had it been a while since you had talked to him?
I had seen him probably, the last time I seen him before he went in was probably 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? And then when he went in the second time, everybody felt like it was my fault. I had to straighten some stuff out and check a few people because they felt like I let him go. You know what I'm saying? Man, you could have stopped him. Bro, I didn't know none of this.
When a guy have a wire on you, that's initial how they get started really. You know what I'm saying? See, people understand. In order for your phone to be tapped, you gotta have control by. You know what I'm saying? So the wire wasn't so much it was like you said, yeah, you got it. That was the next step from tapping my phone. And so, you know what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? It was the guy had a wire on me. But it was before the guy, I knew about the wire, before I even, when the guy had a wire on, I didn't know it initially, you see what I'm saying? So I get pulled over. Going to suburbs in the rain, Range Rovers, they went as a factory, the dog. I got a firearm on me. I'm on supervised release. They take me in. You know what I'm saying? I'm locked up. The federal government comes to make sure that's me. You see what I'm saying? I don't know this, but afterwards, they come make sure it's me. If they find out it was me, bam. They started the whole process of doing the investigation, whatever. You know what I'm saying? The guy, I don't know the guy got done the wire, so he wore a wire on me. I had to call my probation officer. Let her know I've been arrested. Tell her. She, in the meantime, when they come to her first, the government said, when Mr. Ford come here, don't violate him. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't want me violated. They want me to stay on the street. They violate me, gonna like crush him. Don't violate him. Just keep him out. Just note it and don't violate him. They tell her this. I come and tell her what's happening. She said, Mr. Ford, I'm violating you. I'm mad as hell because, you know, summer finna have, you know, you want to buy, I got these new cars and all this old whatever, you know, for the wrong reasons. She violated me. And she thought about, and you'll thank me later. I'm like, I ain't gonna never thank you. Whatever. Little bit, you know, when I got that violation, they got me already playing. They got, you know, the head, they got my whole team now, Mexican guy, they got, you know what I'm saying? So I get violated. My Mexican connect, he catch a case. My guy that's in the city, that one of my right-hand guys, he get in trouble, kills the whole, me getting violated killed the federal government whole case. So they just give me like a BS case compared to me getting me life imprisonment. I wound up doing like about 6 years compared to doing like 200. Her violating me saved my life.
I mean, I was frustrated. I was kind of mad at him because he was doing okay. He didn't need to do what he was doing. And for whatever reason he was doing it, maybe because it was easy or it was just there. But it wasn't no reason. He was well taken care of. He was working. He was training. And he was doing great. So when I heard about it, I was shocked. Like, he did what? They just got who? So like, man, they just got grabbed Johnny. I was like, oh man, they ain't on much, you know what I'm saying? Just come home. They couldn't be on too much.
And they probably mad at to this day, for real. Because they don't violate me, I go back out. The guy that wore the wire, they finna tap his phone, because you gotta have a control buy to get your phone tapped. You can't get the phone tapped without control buy. It's a process.
Give me the definition of control buy.
Well, you know, I got a wire on, you want something, bam, you get it, that's a control buy. You know, I'm dead now, I'm dead. They already got me. Now the wire comes when they finna get the whole scope of your whole, that's when the ball get the, ooh, that's what they want. They got me right there for the little bullshit case. You see what I'm saying? You know, I know I'm dead with the wire, but the feds don't want that. They want Johnny for a whole team. That comes with the wire.
I don't know if it was a war. I don't think it was a war. It's just that I guess the people as a whole was fed up. You know what I'm saying? So they was passing bills to make every dealer or something look like the baddest person in the world.
So if you were able, I mean, the odds of you making it out off the low end, you know, you either had to, you know, be heavily involved in education, you had to be phenomenal in sports. You just didn't have a lot of opportunities. And his mother presented opportunities for him. You know, she allowed him to go to other schools outside the community. She bought him nice things growing up. So he was exposed to a different lifestyle, although he always gravitated back to what he knew best. So in that regard, you know, when the situation happened, you know, I was more concerned about a friend, you know, having to go through something like that.
You know, I had he was the first person who was close to me that ever had to go through that. So that, you know, it kind of spooked me, you know, and I was just hoping that he was gonna be okay. And then I got thinking, well, he should be fine. From if it's the way people say it is on the street inside, then he'll be fine, because he was one of those people. So I'm like, well, he'll be fine, you know. And this was the second time. It kind of broke my daughter's heart, because she was getting her hair done at his beauty shop the night before he left. When I came to pick her up, he came out with her, and we hugging and shaking it up and talking, and after, you know, and my daughter could tell something was a little different. So, you know, he hugged Chrissy, you know, and I get in the car with her. She was like, Daddy, what's wrong? So I kind of explained that Johnny was leaving the next day, and it seeing her break down like that hurt me, just broke me down even more, you know. But Johnny was, one thing I'll give him, he was a soldier, because you would never know that he was going to leave to go to the next day. And I can say this on here because we all here, and I'm a grown man. I've experienced the same thing since Johnny. And so I know how I felt. Really, I know how I felt, because, you know, it was a whole different scenario, but I knew how I felt. And that really, you know, thinking back to when he left, and then thinking back to when I got myself in some trouble, it was a difference in the feeling, of course, because it was me, But I knew exactly how Johnny felt, even though I won't even say he put on this aura, but he did. You know, you never would know. Now I was different. You knew I was, because I was scared to. You know, so it was just a totally different situation.
It was truly, I was truly sorrowful. Like I said, I have children, but Johnny was like a son to me, and I always tried to look after him. And I felt a sense of loss that he didn't listen to everything I said.
Can you describe that day in the courtroom when you knew the verdict was coming down? Can you kind of tell me, what were your emotions?
I had a lot of anxiety. Actually, I was in and out of the courtroom with emotions to keep from being, I was trying to be supportive to my brother, but I was sobbing out loud. So I removed myself from the courtroom several times that day. I remember that. And I just was praying that we get a verdict that would be reasonable and fair.
CEO just called my name out of the blue. He started walking towards me, saying, "Mr. Ford, you've been approved for go home confinement for the rest of your time." And I'm looking at him as he talks, I can't move. I'm shocked. He put a piece of paper in my hand, and the paper just dropped out of my hand. Me and the guy, like, all those got out of my mouth. Just, I'm like, it's unheard of. Just in shock. I never thought I'd be go home. I never got to act anything that came through from father laws. I never flattered.
Honestly, I knew he was getting out early. I just kept imagining running into him on a bus stop. Like, I felt like my brother wasn't going to tell me the exact date. I thought he wanted to surprise us, because that's the kind of joker he is. And it was a surprise. And what I told him was, I'm 54. You got to be careful with those surprises, because I had palpitations when I realized he was home.
You got like a little job you do, depends on where you work at, depends on where you're at, Work out, you probably got a job from 7 to 3 o'clock, work out from 2 o'clock to 3:30, shower, eat dinner. So you may do go back and do a little 35-minute, 40-minute workout, just because you're going to do workouts really help you to keep busy. You know what I'm saying? For real. You wouldn't do them in the world because you're so time consuming. But in the prison system, you do them just to, routine is everything in the prison system. Without a routine, you're not, you know what I'm saying? With a routine, it makes your day, you can breeze your day.
Like right now, as I sit here today, I really only have 2 best friends. Johnny Ford is one, and Corey Harper is the other. And those 2 guys are great friends too. So it's like a triangle. We like the 3 Musketeers. And that's just, and what it is it's just this genuine friendship. We've all seen ourselves at our lowest. We've all seen ourselves at our most successful, and then we've all, just kind of embraced and supported each other throughout the years, man.
Work my way through it. And he chose a different path to ultimately get to that goal. It wasn't about the journey itself. It was about getting to that goal and being able to accomplish something to provide for yourself and your family. But I'm most proud of the fact that, he's out, he's doing things differently. That's one thing about him. Every time he came home, you always knew he was going to be doing something. You just didn't know what he was going to be doing, but you knew he was going to be involved in something positive. And he certainly has a lot of supporting cast, folks that's looking out for him. I mean, when he called me and said, what I'm doing is documentary, I'm like, what do you mean you're doing a documentary? I've been at home, free all these years. Why I never thought about doing a damn documentary for myself? But it just goes to show you how deeply involved, how deeply engaged, and he is in ensuring that he's able to contribute in a positive way.
Just start fresh. Ain't got all of that back stuff that you gotta be dealing with or whatever. You just go ahead and live your life and have a family and start. I think he got out here and he made some choices, and I think these choices he regrets. But he's a good guy. I wouldn't be here if he wasn't.
My personal experience and personal feelings, I think anybody that's been in the federal, any system, locked up on 5 years and have some type of therapy, just to get themselves back ready for what's happening in Cincinnati. You know what I'm saying? Things change daily. That was only 6 months, a year, 10 years. You know what I'm saying? Anyone who's done over 60 months in jail should be some form of therapy mentally to just get yourself back into life.
Well, we can't keep giving. I wish Johnny would do something totally different, because, you know, going back and forth to jail, can't keep giving these white folks your time, man. They're gonna lose you. You know, you don't want no man to step in when you have kids and your kids calling somebody else daddy. So you need to be there in those kids' life. Actually, that's what's going on now with these younger guys. They don't have no father figure in the household, so they're running astray. You know, if the father would stay in the household, you know, and discipline these kids, and also the police then messed it up also, whereas you hit your kid, they want to call the police. I'm beating the hell out of mine. I don't care. Call them.
I had young kids. I caught a case in 1990 at Kenwood High School, playing in the Murray schoolyard. Going back and forth with that case for 2 or 3 years, I walked away in 1995. Never looked back. Never went to anything, had anything to do with streets. I'm always gonna be like related to the streets because I'm from the streets. I'm not gonna ever take that away. You know what I'm saying? I'm not no hypocrite. Don't tell somebody, well, you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that. It's the way to do that.
Could something I have said or done changed his thought about doing that? Did I do anything that perpetuated it? So a little bit of guilt, and then well, what else could we have expected? I mean, you gotta. There's a ceiling in that game. There is a ceiling, and that ceiling is usually where, you know, the university away or the eternity below.
Have an out. Because just like I said, it's only 3 things that are gonna happen. If you don't have a way out, you're not gonna last. You're gonna die. You're going to jail if you don't have a way out.
Well, I wish he'd come on and do the right thing. You know what I'm saying? He got a lot of people that's gonna be behind him. Hope he just invest and get out here and get some, you know, some real money. I mean, when I say get some real money, I don't mean back like he did in the old days. I mean like I'm doing now as far as real estate and owning something.
I want my brother to stay focused. Family is everything. So first of all, we need to get back with the family and just try to, he got daughters and sons. I want us to all come together and just love and learn each other again. You know, when we get a certain age, you're not necessarily that same person you were as a little kid. So I want us to come together more as a family.
And she didn't need it all. You just needed a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
So you kind of feel like can you say you got greedy?
In a funny way, it was greedy, yeah, but my life was not dead. In the streets, whatever, nobody really do it like me, so it's like, I know, you know. They got this, I wasn't doing it for the money, though. I was doing it because y'all can't make it happen. See what I'm saying? So there's an ego play going there too, so you know what I'm saying?
Well, my wish for Johnny, first of all, has already begun. Okay, so he's home, right? And he's home and he's safe and he's healthy. So that's the first part. The second part to that is I want him to become successful in his own right, doing his own thing the right way, you know. And thirdly, and not necessarily in this order. Thirdly, I want Johnny to become closer to God, to Allah, to Jehovah, whatever name that he calls God, because that is the key. That's the key. This life that we live is such a temporary reality. You know, what we gotta keep in our minds, and nobody thinks about it. We all think about what's going on today, what we doing tomorrow, what we wearing, what we don't think about is when we leave this life, when we leave this body that our spirit dwells in right now, what happens? And you have to get closer to Allah. You have to get closer to God to know where you'll be.
I just want Johnny just to stay on the right path, you know, do what he do, be happy. You know, Johnny, he always been, you know, like you talk about the kite, Johnny always been a dude come in the room, you know, he ain't shy about nothing. He gonna speak his mind. He gonna be flashy, he gonna be dressed, he gonna smell good. And that's from high school, so that never changed. I always had a nice car, so the stuff that you're seeing now is on another level. But when Johnny was coming up, he always had nice things.
Yeah.
Who were you most, like, when you saw them of your kids, you were like, whoa? Or was there anybody where you had a whoa moment? Or did you have a whoa moment with all of them?
I had a whoa moment with all of them, because all of them are me within themselves. You see what I'm saying? This is crazy. They all got a piece of me, act like me. That's why, you know, it's like, oh my God, they all my kids, and I can tell. And they, you know, they all got me in them. I just spread myself out with them, you know, my personality, with all of them.
I would say this. I would tell any young person right now today, young man or young woman, it is the easiest thing in the world to get into trouble, but it is a hard thing to get out. So believe that. For every, and you know, older people always tell you these sayings. For every action, there's it's a consequence of, all. So you hear all that, but then it go in this end, out the other. But I'm here to tell you, it's the truth. And you have to, right from wrong. I knew right from wrong. I just decided, thinking I can now slick the wrong. I can do this, and everybody feels that way. I mean, you might get away with it for some time. But I tell you that brick wall is waiting on you. You're gonna run right into it. Bam! And then when you're gonna knock you out, you're gonna hit the ground, and when you wake up, now it's reality.
All of them, well, I'm in the real estate game right now, so
okay.
I kind of doing some good things. Some people trying to get established in that game, so it's helping. I'm learning a lot of knowledge every day, and I kind of like it. It's kind of competitive. My thing is, if you can find a lifestyle, which real estate can bring. It can bring the same lifestyle you have as a street guy. You teach the purpose of anything you want to do. I think any street guy, that's like the ultimate goal. If you give anybody a choice, you gotta hustle. But you can get your lifestyle legitimate, bring the same lifestyle in the street. It's a no-brainer for what you're gonna take.
5 years from now, what do you envision? What would you like to see?
5 years from now, you'll see me probably owning so much stuff, you know what I'm saying, that you'll see me probably doing personal training at a rate where I'm seeing people like at home. I'm gonna have people doing home business. I got some things going on. I'm training. I'm certified. I'm certified. I am training as I train. So when you do that, when you get certified, when you train as you train, then it's at a different level. And I see a bunch of trainers at GM Farms, they the words, oh my God. When you train them, and you've been trained, and then now they become you. So now you got confidence in them out. So next 5 years, that's going to take off the personal training and with the receiver. Sometimes they always ask you, would you trade? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because he made some mistakes when he was young and everything, you know what I'm saying? But I'm so way up there mentally on the things I believe in and what's really important. And that I would never do what I done years ago. Because like they say, when you know better, you do better. I know better in a lot of situations.